If you're wondering if the National Atomic Museum is worth it, watch this so that you can decide for yourself. The National Atomic Testing Museum is here in Las Vegas, and there's a little bit of a discount for Las Vegas locals. $29 for adults, and Nevada residents can get in for $24 with your ID. Kids ages 7 to 17 can get in for $15, and under 6 are free. Other discounts are available for college students, seniors, and the military. This area right here is the Manhattan Project Challenges and Consequences. It focuses on the wartime race to build the first nuclear weapons and the consequence of that. You can see a full-scale replica of the gadget, which was a device detonated in New Mexico, and key historical figures like Albert Einstein and Oppenheimer's role in the project. In the same area, you're going to find a video component where you can hear testimonies of survivors of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. I wish there was more to this section, but I looked it up and it said that because it is specifically a museum designed to preserve the history of the Nevada test site, it doesn't really focus on it as much. When you walk over into the Atomic Odyssey area, this is probably amongst my favorite sections of the museum. There's information about atoms, reactions, and radiation. They have a lot of interactive and hands-on activities in the area. I really enjoyed the art that was integrated throughout the section, and it felt like STEAM really came together. It lets you explore how radiation impacts the world and even the day-to-day life. If you have even a slight interest in science, I think this is a fascinating section to look through. It breaks down difficult concepts, and it's a really great introduction. Nevada test site was interesting, especially as a resident of Las Vegas. I had no idea the extent of the testing that occurred between 1951 to 1992. Here you'll get to see the Cold War era equipment, pop culture toys, the art of the tourists who are on top of casino rooftops watching the mushroom clouds, and there's a lot of personal stories and photographs of the time as well. It looks at the environmental impacts of the test, and we also checked out the audio support, and it tells you more about the area that you're rating. You can check these out for an additional $6, and they ask you to leave your ID so that you remember to turn it in. If you're going to borrow one of the audio devices, definitely get some headphones. Bring some headphones because it's really hard to hear. Maybe I just have that here. The Ground Zero Theater is a neat experience because it simulates the blast, the light, and the rumble of the nuclear detonation. So if you have people who are sensitive to loud noises, light, or any of those, just be mindful that the theater is going to have all of those. I didn't film in there because it's a movie and it's rude to film in there. But anyway, it does look at the historical footage of live nuclear weapons tests, and the video is about 15 minutes long, and I did enjoy it. If you have watched the Fallout show, you're going to see little Easter eggs of the show and the game throughout the museum, which is a fun treat for the people who are fans of that. Walking through the tunnel was probably also one of my favorite parts because it has a timeline that starts at about 1940, and it shows news clipping, historical photographs, and what's going on in pop culture at the time. As you go through it, you're going to see industrial tools that were used to drill, how they tested the bombs underground, and models of how they lowered these massive weapons. As I kept going through this whole museum, I just kept reflecting on how amazing it is that humans are capable of coming up with all of these ideas and creating these things. Truly massive scientific breakthroughs. And unfortunately, even though it was used for something so terrifying, it really is an example of just how incredible the human mind is. As we near the end of this exhibit, you're going to see information about the original inhabitants who live in the desert lands. There's a collection of items like handmade tools, pottery, arrowheads, and it talks about the cultural impact that permanently displaced the local tribes and changed their connection to the land. The World of Fallout exhibit is right before you exit through the gift shop. This exhibit's supposed to be here to the end of 2026, and it's really special for those who have played the video games, have watched the show, so it's really neat. I wish I would have watched the show before getting here so that way I could have a bigger appreciation for everything that was here. I've watched it since, and it was a cool show. Overall, I think it's a great museum, and it does a really good job of having entry-level information for those who are learning history facts. It's a good gateway to the science of all of it, but also the artifacts for the people who are familiar with the content and want to learn more. People could probably easily spend 2 to 3 hours if you take your time to kind of read through it. My husband and I were there for about 4 hours, but we do like to read all the material at museums, so that's pretty standard for us. I will say that it is heavy on reading, so if you have children, there are some interactive sections that they might enjoy, but I think a child who's a 5th grader or higher would probably enjoy it more, mostly because it is very text heavy. Encourage people to visit at least once, especially if you're a local, because it is relevant to Nevada history. At the time of this video, it is open from Monday through Saturday 9 to 6 and Sunday 9 to 5. Have you visited? What do you think? Comment below. And if you haven't visited, are you thinking of going?